Manchester United need a new right back. Those were the words of Erik Ten Hag. So today on the Statman Dave Clips channel, we're going to take a look at three different right backs that could come in and compete with Diogo Dalot, who's been one of Manchester United's best players of the season, the only outfielder to start 19 matches so far. Diogo Dalot not only has provided in the final third, overlapping, underlapping, but more importantly, in possession has been a great outlet, joining Casemiro in that defensive midfield area to provide a really solid base at the back for United to play forward. Diogo Dalot has had more touches than any other Manchester United player this season. A lot of key passes, a lot of progressive passes, carries, and he's moving the ball really, really well. But Diogo Dalot could not play 72 games in a league season. He needs some help there so he can have a rest and then come back, or alternatively be moved to the left-hand side and play as a left-back. We'll talk about that idea in today's video as well. The news that's broken this week from James Ducker is the United are going to be targeting a new right-back if they offload one-to-way defender Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Manchester United, mainly this season, of course, have played Diogo Dalot, and looking through the squad, there isn't really any players that can come in and play the position. We've actually seen Tyrell Malacia play there in certain games as cover, and we could potentially see Luke Shaw. But I do think Manchester United need to go into the market, so we're going to go through a few options right now. Starting with the most like-for-like player that Manchester United could bring in, and that is Malo Gusto from Lyon. Gusto came through the Lyon Academy, applying his trade across their youth teams and also into the first team. He's a player that has got real quality on the ball. He's a player that I really like. So looking at him from a stats perspective and a sort of tactical perspective, for Olympique Lyonnais, he's played right back mainly in a 4-3-3 shape. Lyon, of course, have gone through a number of managers this season, the 4-3-3, the 4-2-3-1 in recent weeks. The big thing that I like about him is his ability to, protect the ball. It reminds me a little bit like Kyle Walker. He tends to stay a little bit wider in the starting build-up, but will retain possession coming back on the inside. He also does provide an outlet in the final third earlier on in the season, playing with Tete ahead of him in a 4-3-3. I think that relationship was quite nice. Tete is a left-footed, inverted winger that plays from the right-hand side, which is very similar to what Manchester United have with Antony. The relationship was good. One would go wide, one would go inside. And we'd see Gusto in a little bit more of, a central area under Peter Bosz. I think that's why Manchester United are looking at him, because it would suit Erik Ten Hag's style of football down to an absolute T. I do like his ability to get on the ball, to be calm on the ball. I think he's a good passer, good off both feet. I think in this game against Angers, his shot off on target was with his weaker left foot, chopped in from the right-hand side and got a left-footed shot away. In the final third, Gusto tends to cross first time with the ball played ahead of him, likes to deliver the ball straight away. That, of course, was his assist for Lacazette in the 5-0 win over Angers. But if we're looking at a sort of a positional nature of what he's doing, you can see he's a lot higher than the left-back for Lyon. When they were playing their 4-3 under Peter Bosz, would play inside, would play outside, hence why he's kind of in between those two positions on his average position map. But I do think he'd be really, really good for Manchester United. One of his best performances of the season for me came against PSG, again against Neymar, Mbappe, and of course Lionel Messi. That was a 1-0 win for PSG, but I thought Gusto defended very, very well in this match. 4 interceptions, 2 out of 2 tackles won in the game, completed 2 out of 2 of his dribbles. What I liked about him in this game was his reading of the play was very, very good. If Neymar was in a central position when the ball was on the opposite flank, he'd jump onto Neymar and press him in that inside position, what a classic inverted fullback would do. If, for example, Neymar received a little bit off him and, he couldn't make that sort of yardage up, he'd drop off and cover the channel into Mbappe. One of the key moves that PSG like to play is the ball from Neymar in between that sort of inside left position for Mbappe to run in. And he made a number of really good interceptions, breaking that down on the stretch, dropping in, picking up the right moment to step across and to intercept. And I thought it was a very, very mature performance. There was a lovely crunching tackle on Kylian Mbappe as well during the first half. I thought he played very, very well and kind of showed some real maturity. One of the things that strikes me with Malo as well. He's a player that is physically developed. He does not look like a 19-year-old. Looks like a 23, 24-year-old. Physique is absolutely spot on, so would instantly be able to adjust to life in the Premier League. And I think with Malo Gusto, it would bring up an interesting proposition for Manchester United. One of the things that I want to see a little bit more from Diogo Dalot is him actually playing as a inverted left back. He did that for Milan on his loan spell there. He played there for Porto when actually he broke into the Porto first team. And I think with his, increased tactical and technical awareness that he's learnt under Erik Ten Hag, having him in these kind of advanced inside positions could be a really good way to open up moves for Manchester United. We see City at times playing two right-footers on the left-hand side of the pitch. Kevin De Bruyne, and a Jack Grealish, let's say, because it opens up different passing angles, different crossing angles, and that ability to come back onto their strong foot and cut inside. And that's something I'd like to see going forward. And that would suit having someone like Malo Gusto as that fullback to allow Diogo Dalot to be a little bit more aggressive. I think the thing we mentioned before about Gusto is kind of when he's received in those wide areas, he will be cautious at times and come back inside, retaining the possession. Again, it's a good quality. It's something that Kyle Walker has made an absolute career at Manchester City. Another similarity to Kyle Walker, Malo is quite good on the cover in terms of when the ball has got past him. He's quite aggressive to go and win the ball back, which I like about him. And again, we saw that against PSG. So that's Malo. That's kind of more of an inverted, maybe traditional fullback option. The next one, very much a different option. Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen. He is an attacker. He is a carrying fullback. He is a wingback. He's someone that will dribble and can basically lock down an entire side from an attacking sense on his own. He's a player that obviously came through the City Academy, grew up at Celtic, but I think he's really kicked on at Bayer Leverkusen. This season in the Bundesliga, he's completed more dribbles than any other player in the league with 30 dribbles completed. And that's a big part of his game when receiving, for Leverkusen. He plays quite high as a wing-back in their kind of through at the back system, which could work for Manchester United if they maybe, rock their attack a little bit with Antony moving to the inside channel. At times, Fred sitting next to Casemiro, allowing Frimpong to provide the overlap and that kind of thrust down the left-hand side. Someone that will slightly change Manchester United's attacking structure, but will give them a lot more going forward. He scored 5 goals so far in the Bundesliga this season and 2 assists, directly involved in 7 goals from a defender, which is one of the best records within the competition. It will allow United to be a little bit more dribbling, a bit more attacking. And I think the other side of it as well is it would give United good depth. And that's something United don't really have right now. Frimpong will be sort of signed to play as a fullback from the start, but it could also allow Manchester United to play him high and play him as a traditional right winger to just get him to the byline and then cut the ball back. This could be in conjunction with playing, a Christian Eriksen maybe as one of the defensive midfielders and shifting Christian to that right-hand side, allowing Christian to play inside right, Bruno inside left from attacking midfield, and then Frimpong from a traditional right-wing position. I think that would really, really utilise his skill set well. I also think he could do a job on the other side of the pitch, with his dribbling. I think he's that type of profile that he could play wide left, could play wide right, could play left wing back as well if you wanted that kind of direct dribbling option from that position. I think it's a different signing to Malo, but I think it's a signing that would add attacking thrust into Manchester United's lineup. And finally, the final player that we're going to talk about today, it's not going to be an attacking option, but more of a defensive option, and that is Benjamin Pavard. Benjamin Pavard started the season as first choice under Julian Nagelsmann, but Bayern signed Mazraoui in the summer on a free transfer. You know how much I love Mazraoui and how much that United should have gone after him in the summer. His quality on the ball is absolutely ridiculous. But Bayern are starting to kind of get that in their first 11, is having him playing as a right back and moving into that kind of central attacking midfield position. 2 assists at the weekend again is another sort of just example of his quality in possession of the football. But that has left Benjamin Pavard either playing centre back, which he did at the weekend to good effect, or on the bench. And that's something that I don't think Benjamin Pavard wants to be part of in a sense. I think he wants to be first choice. He's a player with great experience, great quality, World Cup winner, Bundesliga winner. But I feel like, it could be time for him to move on for a new challenge. There is a lot of talk about his personal life at the moment, and that's been a bit of a struggle. But I think, going forward, it could be a good break for Manchester United. Early on in the season, Benjamin Pavard started the season in sensational form. I watched a game against Wolfsburg where he basically ran the show from a right fullback position, 114 touches of the ball, created 4 chances, 4 crosses, 1 big chance created, won 6 of his 8 tackles, 4 interceptions, and hit the woodwork. He would be a really good option, and to kind of visualise it for you of how he would play for Manchester United, it's almost similar to how Ben White plays for Arsenal in this sort of third centre-back role in attack, for Manchester United. Again, if you wanted to use Diogo Dalot as a left-back or Luke Shaw as a left-back in the final third, United creating with the building with 5, 2 defensive midfielders, and basically be a back 3 with Martinez and probably Rafael Varane when he gets back into fitness after the World Cup as basically an auxiliary back 3. That's not to say that he will overlap at certain times. He still has that in his locker and also taking up these kind of central midfield positions, but it will probably be the majority of him playing as a third centre-back for Manchester United. I don't think that's a bad option. I think that's a good option. I think each of the 3 options provide something different. You'd say Malo Gusto is probably the most traditional inverted fullback type player. I think Frimpong is more of the attacking wing-back that's going to drive and carry it. You will get goals and assists. And then Benjamin Pavard as a third centre-back to provide balance. I think all 3 are great options. In terms of the one I would go for, I would probably go for Malo Gusto just because of his overall quality. I think he's got the potential to be one of the very best. When I was watching him playing for Lyon, I couldn't help but think this player would be perfectly suited to Manchester City. And I think that's a big thing in itself, saying that this player could play for Manchester City. So Man United need to go out there because it wants to be, this player can be suited to playing for Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag's possession-based philosophy long term. So I do think Malo Gusto should be the number 1 target. Could be expensive, but it could be worth loaning him back to Lyon for a few seasons. Allow Diogo Dalot to play left back a bit more, but also the rotation in there. I think United probably need a straight option now, though, which would mean Malo Gusto would be quite expensive. But guys, they're my thoughts on Manchester United's right back situation. I think Diogo Dalot's number 1. Diogo Dalot has been fantastic this season. Diogo Dalot will continue his wonderful development as a footballer, tactically excellent this year. One of Manchester United's best players, but needs help, needs a squad. You don't win a league with 11 players. You win a league with a really good squad. So signing one of the players we mentioned today has got to be a must for Man United in January, as well as buying a striker, as well as probably buying a defensive midfielder. I think there's a lot of work to be done with this squad, but good so far. Get into the comments below what do Manchester United need to do next and which right back would you pick out of the 3 that we spoke to you about today.